Hey guys, welcome back. It's Jocelyn. In this video, we're going to be going over quantum biology. First, we need to start back at the beginning. The first people that even presented quantum biology and what are the possibilities? What could that mean, especially for humans? Because this could be huge. Biology relies on quantum physics. Biologists, they're pretty comfortable relying on their structure with the balls and the sticks and they put together. That's quantum physics right there. An atom has electrons, protons, neutrons will bind together with another atom, and then those combine together to make molecules, and then those combine together to make cells, and then we get up to organisms, and then voila, here is a human. Everything relies on quantum physics. It's the foundation of everything. Now, some of the people that really first proposed this from the beginning, that quantum biology could be a possibility, Arwen Schrodinger. He's pretty infamous for Schrodinger's cat. He came out kind of first with the theory of quantum biology, that it could be affecting us in some way on a biological level. At first, he was kind of put down and people didn't think he knew what he was talking about. But as time has gone along, they've started to realize that maybe he did know. He wrote a book called What is Life? It had some really fascinating points in it that people are actually starting to take serious. Another really popular guy from the past who proposed the idea of quantum biology was Olaf Loudon. He published a paper about proton tunneling and how it could be happening in DNA mutation. This is a possibility that could be huge. Think about mutations or things that go wrong at the DNA level and how that can cause issues and defects in newborns and infants. We could really discover the cause of these and see if there is some validity to all of this down at that DNA, that molecular level. This could be huge in figuring out ways around that, some cures, some way to fix the things that are wrong with us as humans, our diseases and ailments, and issues that we even have as on a societal level, believe it or not. Molecular biology really depends on quantum physics. There are things in the body that have a specific color because of the specific color of light or energy in those molecules. Let's take blood, for instance. It emits a color of red because of the specific color of light that is being emitted. This experiment was done on bird migration. They're able to migrate to different places in different areas based on specific things. They know the position of the sun, they will use specific landmarks, or they understand those things to navigate and migrate when they need to find warmer climates. And this is said by Jim Khalili. Him and Philip Ball have been coming out with this whole theory, and they explain it much better than I do, so I would highly recommend going over and looking at their videos. The European robin, it mainly lives in Northern Europe, and it has to migrate down to Spain, the Mediterranean, and North Africa for warmer climates. In about 1855, the 1850s, there was a man named Alexander van Middendorf. And he was kind of one of the first ones to really study the behavior of birds and their migration behaviors. He found out that they use a tiny little iron oxide crystal in their antenna. These crystals are sensitive to the direction of the magnetic field of the Earth. This magnetic field can affect the birds, that they're actually sensitive to that radiation, and they're using it to navigate where they need to go for warmer climates. So this was huge. They were blown away that this could actually be a possibility, especially the magnetic field of the Earth is so weak, but they were using it to be able to navigate. He actually found that this can affect electric pulses, currents, and signals sent to the neurons of the bird's brain. In the 1970s, there was a couple with the last name Wilczko. They did an experiment on these European robins. So what they did, they kind of captured them mid-migration, and they put them in this cage. Now they had like this marker along the cage so they could see like the bird's footprints. They started to test what the birds were using to migrate. So what they did was they put these artificial magnets on the outside of the cage, and they reversed the cage back and forth, north and south. They kind of did all these different ways to experiment which direction the birds would go. They weren't going by the direction of north and south, they were following the magnets. They were using the angle of inclination of the magnets to find the direction, and they have to see and sense the direction that they need to go through their eyes. So they found that there is protein in the photoreceptor cells of the neurons in the back of the bird's retina, cryptochrome. This cryptochrome is specifically stimulated by green or blue light. The bird has to be looking directly at the sun and get those photons of light from the sun. It will hit the cryptochrome in the back of the bird's eye retina. Those photons of light will excite the electrons that are orbiting around the atoms of that molecule. This is kind of where entanglement comes in. When two electrons come in contact with each other, they're always aware of each other and their relationship to each other, and then they affect each other's behavior. That photon of light would come into the cryptochrome and excite these two electrons, and then it would make an electron bounce back into the neurons, into the brain to communicate, and they would still be in relationship with each other. The possibility, this isn't completely proven, but it's the leading theory out there. They know for sure that the magnetic field is affecting the bird and the direction in which it's going in, and they also know for sure that it's getting its direction from the sun and that these photons of light are coming in. They know the cryptochrome is there, but this is the leading theory on how the bird is able to process this information and how electrically it's causing a reaction and even a chemical reaction within the brain to let the bird know which direction to go. This is fascinating to realize. This is where we could bring in like photosynthesis, that maybe this is a possibility in humans. Our observation, being out in nature, absorbing photons of light through our eyes. I'm kind of giving my own little interpretation along with things that I've learned from my own experience and healing that's taken place from being out in nature, absorbing those photons of light that we need as humans for survival, and actually using them to heal yourself. I talked a little bit about how in molecular biology, say the color of blood, it's emitting a specific color of light to give off that color of red. There's something called an electromagnetic spectrum. It's all these colors that are on a spectrum of light, and we all emit light. We all are made of light. Everything pretty much in the universe is made up of light. The way that our eyes interpret the things around us are by color. The more energy something has, the more of a violet color it's going to emit, and it's going to have a shorter wavelength. Now when we go down in the spectrum, it will go down to like blue, and again, that wavelength is going to be spread out just a little bit more, and it will have a little bit less energy than the violet. Then we move down to green, then yellow, then orange, then red. Red is at the bottom. It has the least amount of energy. It's like the slowest, so we can look at blood in that way. It's a very thick consistency. It makes sense that it would have a red color that's emitted from that light. So that is how our eyes are interpreting the amount of energy that something has, is by color. Now, we don't always see the color. That's the thing that you have to understand as well. There are things like gamma rays and infrared energy and light that is way beyond what our eyes can interpret because the energy is so high. Now, things like a microwave or radio waves, those have the least amount of energy. We are able to see them on a better level than take gamma rays or infrared rays. That's kind of like a broad kind of way to explain the electromagnetic spectrum. This is where I want to relate this actually to emotions. So we know that we all humans experience emotions. We experience fear and shame and guilt and happiness and love and joy and peace. I really want to relate the colors from the electromagnetic spectrum to emotions. And now think about this. Think about the emotions that you experience. Love, you can feel the energy behind it. It feels exciting. There's a lot of energy behind that. Same with joy and fun and excitement and enlightenment and peace. Like, these are higher vibrational emotions that I would relate more to the violet color. It's going to have a shorter wavelength and it's going to have a lot more energy, and we can feel that. We can feel that as humans in our body. That's why we all crave to have that feeling of love, because we can feel the excitement, the increase in energy that we have when we're in love, when we have feelings of love, when we experience that. And now I want you to specifically think about when we go down the emotional scale, all right? Let's go down to those lower vibrational emotions like fear and shame and guilt, apathy and depression. They have a low amount of energy. So that's where we can relate it to the color red. Red has less energy. It's going to have a longer wavelength. That's how we're going to relate it to those emotions, that those specific emotions have that lower vibration, that less energy. And think about that. Think about the times that we feel depressed, or we feel sadness, or we feel ashamed of something about us. Feel the decrease in energy that you experience. Say you're experiencing a moment of love and joy and enlightenment, and how much energy and excitement you have from that. And then to go all the way down to those lower emotions, you can feel the decrease in energy. Let's relate the energy to emotions and say that all emotions have their own type of energy and vibration to them. They're all going to have their own specific wavelength that they emit out, and their own color even. Now, we won't specifically see someone's emotions. We might not see the energy that they're putting out there, or we might. We might not see the color of it specifically, but we can still sense and see people's emotional states. When a family member comes home and you can see clearly that they're not energetic, they might be depressed, they might have had a bad day at work, and you can specifically see when they have that decrease or that lower energy. That's what I really want to touch on, is keeping those emotional states and how it's actually related to the electromagnetic spectrum, how this can actually go back to quantum physics, because this is how we're actually going to be able to relate it on a human level for it all to really make sense. That's kind of the basis of this video on quantum biology. I hope you tune into the next video. It's going to get even more juicy and amazing. Please like and subscribe if you want to get more information, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Thanks so much for tuning in.